Welcome to CLIC Connect. I'm your host, Craig Sullivan. Guess what? We've got Mr. Gary Gray, Chief Investment Officer with 24/7 Hotels, joining the conversation today. Gary has had over a 25-year career in hospitality and commercial real estate, and he has also closed over $1 billion worth of deals. So we're talking deals today. We're talking management. We're having a great conversation. Gary, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Craig. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Now, I know that you're a value add, and you've been closing deals during COVID-19. Matter of fact, I think you started a chain reaction of 3 deals, including one that you did in Santa Barbara early on in the pandemic. So what's it been like with you getting deals closed during COVID-19?
Well, it's obviously been a challenge. We've seen the flow fall off in terms of transactions where properties are changing hands. So what we found is that we've been able to really rely on the development community, and we pre-pandemic had a number of deals that were already in process, and we've been able to move those forward. And then, as you mentioned, we were fortunate enough actually during the pandemic to pick up a very interesting property located along the coast that we will be adding to the Marriott family as a Moxie. So we've had a mixture of deals, but really the strength most recently has been in the development pipeline for us.
That's great. I know you've got a Cambria that's been under construction, and it doesn't seem like you missed a beat during COVID-19 with that. Would you tell us about that project and the other ones you've got that are under development right now, please, that you can talk about?
Absolutely. So yes, we have a Cambria that is under development in Calabasas. It's with one of our owners. The hotel started development prior to the pandemic, and we'll be opening that in several months. But that's just one of a handful of hotels that we have currently in our pipeline that will open this year. So we're excited because we have a cross section of brands that will be opening, from Hilton Garden Inns to Hampton Inn and Suites to the Cambria. So it's a very exciting time for us. I think that we'll probably add close to 600 rooms this year in new development. So we're quite excited about that. And we've got a development pipeline that's going to extend into 2022 with another half dozen hotels that are either under construction or are going to start very soon.
Very nice. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you're a value add guy. You help source deals, financing, you help out with contract negotiations, franchise agreements, everything else.
Sure.
So you bring a plethora of different talents and services to your clientele across a broad base of hotel types, whether it's select service, it's extended stay, a boutique, a full service. So how many hotels are in the portfolio currently that are open and operating here?
Currently, we have 20 hotels that are open and operating. We're a regional operator. We're self-defined as operating from, call it, Denver to the coast. Most of our hotels are in California, so we're heavily concentrated there, and in particular in Southern California. So we've got a portfolio of 20, but as I said before, we've got another 5 or 6 that'll open this year in a pipeline of, probably by the time we're done with 2022, maybe up to 10 hotels that will be coming online.
That's wonderful. Let's talk a little bit more about that. How's the financing been? I know a lot of it's, falling back on the sponsorship more so than at any other time. There are lenders, our friends at East West Bank and various others are doing construction loans. Our friends over at Stonehill as well, in the right circumstances, location, sponsorship. What are you seeing? Are you getting 65% loan to value, 50% loan to value? What are you working out a burn off on some of the restrictions throughout the loan period as well?
Well, construction financing, make no mistake, is extremely challenging right now, to the extent that it's probably almost non-existent. It's got to be the right deal, the right location. I think it's going to come back. I think as we're going to see business come back across the country, operationally, you're going to see lenders stepping back in, and things will get back to normal over time. But right now it's very challenging. So the deals that we've got going right now are deals that were, again, kind of started pre-pandemic. However, we're working with a number of developers that have an extensive track record and ability to move things forward, even in the absence of construction debt being available. So we're fortunate in that case. Can't really go into a lot of details, but we've just been awarded a contract with a public company that will start construction on a hotel in Southern California in a great market. So they don't have the impediment of looking to secure the debt for some of these deals. So we've been fortunate in working with a number of our owners who have that pedigree and that kind of capital behind them.
That's great. It certainly makes your life a lot easier, dealing with the brands and the cities and everybody else. So, again, kudos to you and your expertise for, being able to have those relationships that have been a hallmark of the services that 24/7 hotels offers. So, and I know that you've expanded their portfolio, you've added more services. How have deals changed contract wise during COVID-19? Have you had any, almost complete updates of your LOIs and your purchase and sale agreements? Or has that just been a minimal thing that maybe the legal team throws a couple of, items?
Well, to be honest with you, we really haven't had a lot of transaction-oriented kinds of opportunities given what's gone on with COVID. I mean, there's been a real lack of activity, as our brethren in the brokerage community can attest to. It's just been a very difficult time right now, although we're starting to see things come back. And I think sellers are starting to venture out and looking at disposition. So I think the market is going to return to normal. I think there was a lot of speculation that there was going to be a lot of distress in the industry for 24/7 and the types of hotels that we operate. We really haven't seen that to the degree that hotels are going back to lenders. The PPP loans and things like that have been able to keep our portfolio moving forward through the pandemic. And we're now in a position where we're building back. So we're really optimistic about the future and that our owners are going to be able to turn away from the issues that were concerning them during the pandemic and start to focus on acquisitions again. So I think time's going to tell going forward.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think if you've got a loan coming due this year or next, that could be a challenge.
Yes.
Staffing's a challenge. We've all heard about it. We've got a lot of various opinions on that, so there's no reason to flog that horse anymore. But I think CMBS is another wild card. I think they've staffed up, but I don't know how quickly they're going to pull the trigger on things at this particular point in time. I mean, they're also regulated heavily by another whole set of standards. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now, are you offering any type of receivership services out there as well?
Well, we definitely are. We are set up to offer receivership and management services. So we're prepared for that. I think like many in the industry, there was an anticipation that was going to happen and that there was going to be a flood of this opportunity.
Right.
So we prepared ourselves for that. But again, to this point, we really haven't seen it. And because we are, as I described, a regional operator focusing in the West, what you find if you look at the cross section of what's going on, a lot of the distress that's out there is really in the markets in the East and Southeast and some of the energy belt areas where you're seeing that. So for us in California and the Western states, there really hasn't been a lot of that. So I think we're really turning our focus to trying to help ownerships on development deals. We're trying to focus on owners that may have issues with CapEx, properties having been now kind of effectively starved over the last year as owners have had to take their reserves and apply them to hotel operations and debt service. There are going to be challenges on the CapEx side as we get back into this, and owners are going to need to catch up on bringing their properties up to speed. So we'll be focusing on that with them.
Absolutely. Now, I know you've got a healthy portfolio here in the Southland. There's got to be a lot of excitement through your local hotels here with the entertainment venues such as Disneyland and Universal and everything reopening. That's got to put a smile on everybody's face at the property level and at corporate offices, I would guess.
Absolutely.
Please tell me if I'm wrong.
No mistake there. It's exciting to see these things open up for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Plus, we're coming into the right time of year where we're going to have, I think summer, and fall are just going to be an extraordinary time for the travel industry. I think, our partners in the airlines and, the brands certainly are all looking forward to this as well. Gary, I wanted to ask you one more thing before we wrap this up. Now, moving forward, looking past COVID-19, are there any trends that you see in financing that are developing with your expertise? Are CapEx accounts with the lenders going to double, triple? Insurance requirements, are they changing? Is there, little nuances that you're seeing that could be classified as a trend and might become a standard operating procedure as you're dealing with lenders?
Well, certainly I think so. I mean, it's kind of a classic reaction after there's been such effectively a cliff that we've all fallen off of, and everybody's preparing for the future and trying to protect themselves. So I think, yes, there are going to be certain measures that will be put in place that may seem excessive at some level, but people will figure out how to work with those things, and I think things will eventually moderate. But you'll see things like having to have a year's worth of reserves for debt service booked into the deal, those kinds of things. But I do think that the pace at which things seem to be recovering, certainly for us in our portfolio here in Southern California, our occupancies are effectively back. Rate needs to build, but I think this summer, as you said, we're going to see the floodgates open with the people looking to travel. And so we'll be able to get that compression that'll allow us to drive our rates up. We're optimistic our rates are going to come back maybe more quickly than a lot of the industry prognosticators are projecting. So I think we're going to see that. And by the fall, I think everybody's going to be comfortable traveling on the corporate level. So I think people are going to be able to get beyond this relatively quickly, and they're going to see the business coming back. So any of those things that you've just referenced in terms of mechanisms to protect people, I think you'll see those things soften as they need to compete for the business as it comes back.
Absolutely. I agree with you, my friend. Gary, here it is. It's time for you to give a shameless plug. We are out of time. How can people reach out, contact you, and hopefully you can engage them with a couple of management agreements and a development deal or two?
Well, I would say check us out on our website. You can find my contact information on the website. You can learn more about us and our company there. And I'm certainly reachable by phone and by email at www.247hotels.com. Those are the numerals, 247hotels.com.
Perfect. Gary, thank you for joining us today and being a part of the conversation. My friend, you've got an open invitation to come back anytime you want, especially if you've got breaking news about, a hotel opening. So we'd love to share that with the community for you.
Thank you. And
I want to thank you, our audience, for joining us today. And you know what? I want to thank our production partners. We've got Red Roof Franchising and Chicago Title National Commercial Services joining us for these shows, and they've been a joy to deal with. And if you'd like to be a production partner, reach out to producer Danny and I. And also, if you take a look at the bottom of the screen, we're scrolling some information for the 5th Annual California Lodging Investment Conference, live and in person at the new crown jewel of the Anaheim Resort area, the JW Marriott. There is a promo code in there, so make sure you write that down, because I'm not going to say it. You need to write it down. And remember, be kind. Share your knowledge. Now go be amazing, and I'll see you in the next episode.